Now let's go back over to the news desk. Here's Brissa.
All right, thanks, Joey. Well, time now for a check of our top stories. And Liberty Foundation raised $600,000 in donations, making it the biggest amount in donations in the history of the nonprofit organizations. Now it will all help organizations in need in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Our Francis Felix brings us this top story.
After a challenging year, Liberty Foundation raised $600,000 for 27 foundations from Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, impacting lives of adults and children.
The achievement for this year, I think I would summarize them in two ways. One is obviously the amount of money we have raised. I think that's an achievement with all our sponsors and our suppliers. Second, also the fact that we have been able to have so many organizations that are in needs, not only here but as well in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So I would put those two as our achievement, and it's quite a challenging year, as you can imagine, with the pandemic, but we did it. We broke a record.
This year we are breaking our own record by giving $600,000 in donations to 27 organizations here in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's the biggest amount of donations that we have given in the history of the Liberty Foundation. They do impact positively the lives of children, youth, and adults in so many areas, giving them educational services, giving them prevention services. Of course, we have services, giving them prevention services. Of course, we have services, giving them prevention services. Of course, we have a couple of organizations that work with survivors of gender violence. We have organizations that promote art and culture. So it is a very broad, amount of organizations.
Reporting from Rio Grande, Puerto Rico, Francis Felix.
All right, thank you, Francis. Well, Trinidad and Tobago recorded its highly daily COVID death toll, with 28 people, including one boy, succumbing to the virus over the weekend. The other fatalities included 13 elderly men, 8 elderly women, 5 middle-aged men, and 1 middle-aged woman. Now, the active case count at that point had increased to over 8,000. However, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parashram reported that some institutions were not reporting positive case totals to his office as required to do so. He also expressed concern that too many people who were ill, including those who tested positive for COVID-19, were still out and about in the country instead of isolating.
If you are ill, stay at home. We're getting a lot of complaints of people, some of them even being positive and going out to supermarkets and other places. If you have a viral illness in the country at this point in time, there's possibly a 1 in 2 chance of it being COVID, and we really want you all, once you're sick, to stay at home. That is one of the ways that we're getting spread going from one place to the next.
And meantime, in the Bahamas, the Minister of Health and Wellness announced that the emergency orders that have been in place for the past 18 months because of the pandemic will be lifted, and an advisory panel will now use legislative tactics to fight the pandemic on the island in hopes of gaining back economic growth and civil liberties.
Emergency orders in response to the coronavirus pandemic in the Bahamas are over.
Promised the Bahamian people that when elected to government, we would immediately remove the emergency orders. We promised the Bahamian people that when elected to government, we would immediately remove the emergency orders, which would have been in place for the last 18 months, and instead manage the COVID pandemic by way of legislation. It was our view then, still our view now, that the prolonged use of the emergency orders not only stifled the possibility for economic growth, but also negatively affected our civil liberties.
Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville, speaking from the Office of the Prime Minister, informed the Bahamas there was consultation with sectors including the business, sporting, and religious communities to arrive at the new rules. Dr. Darville explained how these rules and regulations will be managed.
These rules provide for an advisory committee made up of experts in epidemiology, supply management, logistics, health service administration, and public health. The epidemiological evidence of community spread, we can base our recommendations from the advisory committee, adjust these rules to ensure that we protect the public. Conversely, if the condition improves, the advisory committee will make recommendations for further relaxation.
While there are new rules already enforced, including the removal of the curfew and less stringent requirements for inter-island travel, the mask mandate and the push for vaccination remains at the forefront of the fight.
It has been scientifically proven that vaccination reduces the severity of the impact. We have an adequate supply of vaccines, and we are pleading again. Please get vaccinated. Thank you.
As of November 13th, 139,000.
And that was our Deandra Hamilton reporting there. Well, meantime, Mexican authorities have reported finding 600 migrants on Friday hidden in 2 trailers traveling through the state of Veracruz. In a statement, the National Migration Agency said that they discovered 145 women and 455 men in closed box cars that were heading towards the U.S. border. And the migrants are from several different countries, including Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Cuba, El Salvador, Venezuela, Bangladesh, Ecuador, Ghana, India, and the Dominican Republic. The agency says it has started processing the people and will decide whether or not to send them back to their home countries at a later date. And 2 missionaries who were taken hostage in Haiti last month have been released, according to Christian Aid Ministries. Members of a gang called 400 Maozo are believed to have taken 16 Americans and 1 Canadian citizen hostage. The hostage takers were believed to be members of an Ohio-based Christian Aid Ministries. The 17 people, which included 5 children, were taken hostage after visiting this orphanage in October. In a statement, Christian Aid Ministries said the 2 hostages are, quote, safe, in good spirits, and being cared for. The group did not give any more information. Christian Aid Ministries said while they are pleased that 2 of the hostages